Hello, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel, The Big Black American Secret. And that secret is you are not African. You are indigenous. You are actually the only true American. You are the Aboriginal of America. I've got another goodie for you. Here's an article that I found. It's called The Forgotten Story of American Indian Slavery. I'll turn this around here. The Forgotten Story of American Indian Slavery. And I'm going to stroll down to the bottom of this thing. And I'm going to read to you this very last part right here. And it's talking about the Slave Code of 1740. Okay? Now I got to turn that around to read it. But, well, before I do that, just everybody put type in or just raise your hand and say the answer to this question. Who are colored people? I'll wait. Who are the colored people? Black folks, right? Yeah, you used to saw back in Martin Luther King days, they had the faucets for colored people only. Restaurant says we don't serve colored peoples here, or colored people have to enter through the back door, right? Okay, check this out. The Slave Code of 1740, which determined the legal destiny of slaves, was to endure to the end of the 18th century. Okay, let me read that again. I read that kind of slow. The Slave Code of 1740, which determined the legal destiny of slaves, was to endure to the end of the 18th century. So that code was to last until the end of the 1700s. Okay, this code, dated May 10, 1770, defined slaves and chattel property, thereby abandoning the definition of slaves continued since 1696. Slavery was thus based upon this law and its apprehensive definition, and not upon custom as it was in the past. And the custom of the past was indentured servitude, contract for hire, basically. Okay, so children of slaves were to follow the condition of the mother. Thus was the most comprehensive slave code of the colonial period. It regulated, and what that means, if the mother was free, the child was free. If the mother was a slave, the child was a slave, right? Thus was the most comprehensive of the colonial period. It regulated the slave from cradle to... Okay, there you go. This was the most comprehensive slave code of the colonial period. It regulated the slave from cradle to grave. After the enactment of the 1740 Slave Code, Indians and descendants of Indians were regarded as free Indians or free people of color. You get that? They were regarded... Let me get to the front. After the enactment of the 1740 Slave Code, Indians and descendants of Indians were regarded as free Indians or free people of color, in amity with the government until the contrary could be shown to differentiate between the enslaved Indians. It is this phrasing in that code of 1740, which was later interpreted by the courts as the end of Indian slavery in South Carolina. However, our least 25 Indian slaves are recorded during the 1770s, with 12 of them as runaways and 3 included as a part of the inventory of the states. The concluding phase of Indian slavery in South Carolina was incorporated in a series of laws enacted in the 1790s. A statute enacted on December 21st, 1792, 2 years after the first United States Census, was to prohibit further importation of slaves in the state, which included Indians, mulattoes, and mestizos. Now, imported from where? You see what I'm saying? They imported other indigenous Americans from other parts of the United States, and they took them in boats to other parts of the United States. You know what I mean? So they were imported. It didn't say nothing about Africans nowhere in there. You see what I'm saying? And we'll get to the importation between states in a different video. But right now, I just wanted to point out to you that you have always been the Indian. Always. 1740. You were considered free Indians or free people of color. Have you ever heard Indians called people of color? No. No. It's always was black people. Because you've always been the Indian, you've always been a black person. Same person. Same people. You see how slick these people is? But it's cool. It's cool. Because they dealing with geniuses. They always have been dealing with geniuses. That's why they didn't allow us to read for so long. They know who they're dealing with. All right, so what was I at? Mestizo. As late as 1838, Native Americans were in South Carolina fighting for their rights and reevaluating the interpretation of the Slave Code of 1740. During the course of Indian slavery in South Carolina, Indians were used in various ways. They were employed in the same ways as Negro slaves were utilized. See, Dr. Hijack, you are the Negro slave. You are the Indian slave. You're the same person. See what I'm saying? You working in the field next to somebody, you in Georgia, and they ship some people up from Florida or from the Caribbean islands. But y'all all the same people. You know, you see how these documents have bits and pieces in them here or there scattered about? But, you know, it's going to take all of us, a collaborated effort. What you learn from me, you teach your people. You teach other people. You understand what I'm saying? It's very important. You know, I consider myself black first, black over everything. Black over my religion, black over my profession, black over any political stands I have. I'm black first. And I hope I'm talking to you who are black first. Because if you don't put black first, you're going to be still scattered as a people. Racism is a team sport. You understand what I'm saying? By default, we are team black. You see what I'm saying? Because white people started this race. They're on the white team, we're the black team. And we have to work together as a, strong unit. We got to be tough, we got to be together. So from now on, everybody watching this video, y'all team black. You part of the B1 Brigade. You feel what I'm saying? I've already inducted you into the Army. You're already a soldier on this team. And that means you got to put in work. What you learn, you share. You understand what I'm saying? You got to be bold about this thing. Bold. Because all the lies, they ended yesterday. They ended yesterday. We ain't falling for the okie doke no more. Okay? Now, again, welcome to the YouTube channel. This is the Big Black American Secret. Please subscribe. Click the thumbs up button. And next to the subscription, I think it's a little bell you hit, or you click to say that you want all the notifications. So, whenever I go live or I put a video out there, you'll get it. Okay? Now, so, and again, it's my honor and my pleasure to bring this information to you. And I'm just hoping you do what you need to do as far as sharing what you learn. If I give you a reference, go to the reference. Check it out for yourself. If you learn some information, hit me up. Put it in my DM. You know what I mean? And I'll share that. But again, we're going full steam ahead with this information because again, lies that's the past. We're not going backwards. You're not from Africa. You understand what I'm saying? The reason they tried to tell us we from Africa, and I'll get into this in a different series, a different story. I'm in a different time, a different video, is because Indian slavery at one point became so difficult to maintain. And I'll give you a little bit about it now. It got to a point, America was trying to get its freedom from England. And they thought it very hypocritical that here they are in America trying to lock up Indians, native people to their lands. But here they is trying to get their freedom from England. They said, okay, well, we need to stop this, or, because it ain't looking too good for us. So here's what they did. They said, okay, Indians are free. Indian slavery is over with from now. Now, how are we going to deal with this labor problem we have? Because we need the free labor. We need cheap labor. We need free labor. So they said, you know what? In Africa, the only person that's free is the chief. Everybody else is an absolute slave. That's what these racist people thought. And so there you go. They said, okay, so if you're an African, you're a slave. And that's I summed that up in a small little knot, because technically that's what happened. And again, I'll drop that to you in a different video. All the facts, the clues, everything in a straight line. But so therefore, any Negro or black person that comes off a ship is an African slave. They didn't care if he came from North Carolina up to New York, or from New York to South Carolina. It didn't matter. And so you might be thinking, well, why would they put Negroes on a ship in Florida and ship them to California or New York? Well, it's simple. One reason is, I'll give you an example. Let's say somebody a white man broke into your house, beat you down back, took the overhand. He got the jump on you, so to speak. He got guns and stuff. He jumped you. He black boot beat you and stomp you and lock you up and put you in your own basement. He got your woman upstairs cooking your food to feed him in her kitchen, and he raping her every day. He got your kids out in the garden, tilling to the garden, and he raping them every once in a while. You feel what I'm saying? Now, let's just say by some happen chance you get free. What you gonna do to that man? I'll wait. He gonna die. He gonna die a vicious fucking death. You ain't finna hold no prayer ceremony with this fella. You ain't finna hold his hand and y'all have a come to Jesus meeting. No. Death is the only suitable circumstance for that fella. You feel me? So in order for them not to die, because that did happen, when they first started doing it, they tried to lock up people in their same area, same surroundings. It didn't go too well. In order to control the slave, you lock them up, you send them somewhere else, to another area they ain't familiar with. They think it's whole another country. Okay? So that absolutely happened. Absolutely happened. Now I'm gonna give you another clue about this thing that I've learned. Every time you saw an image of a slave coming off a slave ship, they had the chains on, hands on their feet, and all of the black people had bald heads, like mine, right? I'm sure you've seen a few pictures like that. But you never really thought to ask yourself, why was that, right? Well, according to the research that I found, a few things was dropped here. They're nothing solid, but this is one thing that I did hear of. They said that they shaved the slaves' heads to prevent a lice infestation. Now, you and me both know lice don't fuck with black people's heads like that. And if that was true, the white people coming off that ship would have had shaved heads, because if it was going to be a lice infestation, they would be eaten alive by the lice. And you and me both know that. Another thing is, the slaves, women that they had on the coast and in the islands, they all wore those African headdresses, right? You've seen that, especially in Louisiana. Again, that was an attempt to hide our hair, because our skin tone was always not as dark as the Africans. Some of us are very dark, blue-black, but a good portion of us we range from light-skinned to almost white, all the way to black. But the description of the majority of the people seen here in America, and the definition, I showed it to you in a different video, but you can look it up yourself right now. 1828 definition of American. The year 1828 definition of American, Webster's Dictionary. It says that the inhabitants, or the aboriginals of America, were copper-colored. 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 That's you, man. Brown. Copper is a color brown, a reddish brown. Okay? And they also called you the red man. Again, the red man was the brown man. You feel what I'm saying? So the slickness is there. It's up to the B1 Brigade, Black First Brigade, to just bust through this and get this information out to the people. So again, I thought that was very interesting. This article, which I just read, the Slave Code of 1740. You know, now you can look up this article. This article is one of many in the Educational Teaching Guide, South Carolina Indian Today, edited by William Maury Goings, PhD. And I'll read it again. The Slave Code of 1740, which determined the legal destiny of slaves, was to endure to the end of the 18th century. The 18th century is the 1700s. So it was to endure through 1799. Okay? This code dated May 10th, 1740, defined slaves and chattel property, thereby abandoning the definition of slaves continued since 1696. Slavery was thus based upon this law and its comprehensive definition, and not upon customs as it was in the past. And in the past, it was work for hire, indentured servitude. Okay. Children of slaves were to follow the condition of the mother. This was the most comprehensive slave code of the colonial period. It regulated the slaves from cradle to grave. After the enactment of the 1740 Slave Code, Indians and descendants of Indians were regarded as free Indians or free people of color. Free people of color. Indians were considered free people of color. Who are the people of color? Who are the free people of color? You and me. You see what I'm saying? This stuff is buried in the United States laws and codes. And it's up to us to dig it out and bring it out. Okay? Free people of color in enmity with the government until the contrary could be shown to differentiate between the enslaved Indians. Okay? And when they say enslaved Indians, the ones that were under indentured servitude and those who were under chattel slavery. Chattel slavery is a slave for life. Indentured servitude is a contract for hire. You work for 7 to 10 years and then you're freed from your contract. Okay, and that's how a lot of black people. It was a big shocker. People didn't quite understand how is it that when they ended slavery, a lot of black people had a lot of land. They was able to buy land. That's because part of the indenture probably was to get a piece of land after your indenture, or they had they got some money from working and they was to buy some land. You know what I'm saying? They were indentured servants. They weren't chattel slavery. It wasn't chattel slavery for some of them. Okay. It is this phrasing in that code of 1740 which was later interpreted by the courts as the end of Indian slavery in South Carolina. However, are at least 25 Indian slaves are recorded during the 1770s, with 12 of them as runaways and 3 included as part of the inventory of an estate, meaning when somebody died, well, not everyone died, but anyway, the state, you got 12 horses, 3 pigs, 4 chickens, 3 slaves. You know what I'm saying? You was just chattel slavery. You was like cattle. The concluding phase of Indian slavery in South Carolina was incorporated in a series of laws enacted in the 1790s. The statute enacted on December 21st, 1972, 2 years after the first United States Census, was to prohibit further importation of slaves in the state, which included Indians, mulattoes, and mestizos. They imported Indian slaves. Mulatto and mestizo. Mulatto is, black people were the mulattoes and black people were the mestizos. It's just saying that this was a light-skinned black person and this is a dark-skinned black person. That's it. But they says imported Indians, not imported slaves from Africa. See what I'm saying? They pick your butt up in Florida, ship you to Ohio. You see what I'm saying? Imported Indians. It tells you right here in this thing, As late as 1838, Native Americans were in South Carolina fighting for their rights and re-evaluating the interpretation of the Slave Code of 1740. During the course of Indian slavery in South Carolina, Indians were used in a variety of ways. They were employed in the same way as that Negro slaves were utilized because we were the Negro slaves. Dodge the hijack. You see what I'm saying? Very, 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 very interesting and very slick. You see what I'm saying? We are and always were the Indians, and the Indians was always a Negro. Flip flop the titles. Same person. Same person. Copper colored. Okay? Again, like this video, share this video, and I'll be bringing this to you on a daily basis. I do teach a 4-week coaching class. We meet 1 hour a week. We meet one day for 1 hour per week. It's a video, kind of a video conference. During the conference, we'll discuss the homework that was given from the last session, and then we'll, kind of talk about it. We'll all kind of, mix it up a little bit, and then you'll get another homework assignment for the week coming up. And this is a way to laser beam this information, because the way I'm giving it to you now is just, it's the best way I can to just get it out there, because not everybody can afford a class or whatever. You know what I'm saying? And that's cool. And this information is free. You understand what I'm saying? It's out there. It's out there. But it's bits and pieces here or there. And it ain't your money that's important to me. It's your attention. People who pay for something, they're going to pay more attention to it. You know what I'm saying? So, and plus my time is valuable. I'm a working man. I run a couple businesses. But this is my passion. My passion is teaching my people, raising us up out of this out of this mental slavery that we've been in for so ever, and to realize how valuable you are. How I got so much to tell y'all. I mean, you do not know how powerful you are. You do not know how ancient you are. You do not know the mental capacity you possess. You are a wondrous people. You are precious people. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I saw an article on Facebook a couple of days ago. If it wasn't yesterday, there's a book written in German book, or a Germany book, during the time of Hitler's reign. And I could not verify the fact that it said that I guess he was on his deathbed and he was talking to another person, and this another guy was writing this down, where he says, America, Hitler was saying he's going to cause World War III even in his death, because he's going to let the world know that in America, the white people who they have in America, they have captured God's jewelry. You know what I mean? And it was basically saying it. Now, I could not find that information as factual yet, if it is, but what I did find was that book. In that book, on page 132, I believe. I don't have the book. I saw an image of the book, and if I could find it, I'll get it. In fact, it was for sale for $842, I think, on one of them sites. Very expensive. But anyway, it showed a correlation graph, pictures from Aboriginal Americans, Asians, which were originally black, and the Jews. And at the bottom it says the Jews, the European Jews, are bastards or fake Jews, or fake Hebrews. Hebrews. So like again, I wasn't able to verify that, but at the same time, there are a lot of things that has been hidden. You know what I'm saying? Our identity, of course, has been taken on 3 fronts. The first front is we are the only true Americans, Amarukans. You know what I'm saying? But the white people saying they're Americans. You know what I'm saying? Indians, the Mongolian breed of Chinese Indians that came across the Bering Straits, Yeah, the Bering Straits are about 10, 12,000 years ago. They're considered the Indians when they wasn't even here that long ago. The Eskimos, you know what I'm saying? So identity, boom, there, you know. And like I say, American Indian, and then they say that we're African. So you see what I'm saying? So it's a lot going on there. But it's good to know 100% we are Aboriginal Americans, original Americans. We are from the dirt of this continent, and we go back eons, eons. And what I sometimes get ahead of myself, but here's something I'm gonna drop to you. This is how smart, powerful your people are. You know what I'm saying? And if anybody want me to jump, fast forward this to this information I'm finna tell you, it's just a little it's a teaser. This is a little teaser here. You understand what I'm saying? It's a fact, documented fact, but hidden, but a documented fact that we, Black Americans, gave Egypt its pyramid building technology. It's a fact. I've got it. I'm gonna lay it all out for you. It's hard to not give it all to you in one time. You know what I'm saying? But I have to pump the brakes on even myself because it's just so much. But anyway, we are the civilization that brought technology to Egypt and to Ethiopia. I forget the name of these people who Egyptologists. They've always wondered. They always would say, Egypt's knowledge of astrology and culture and science was given to them by someone. And then they say, well, that knowledge was given to them by Ethiopia. And then when they talk to the Ethiopians, they say, well, this knowledge was given to us. You know what I'm saying? But then they don't know who gave it to them. But the white people, you know, they so way out there. They say they want to believe because they don't want to believe we so smart as people. That's the aliens gave that technology to the Egyptians. You know what I'm saying? When the walls is full of black people. You know what I'm saying? The writing on the wall is just all black people. Oh no. They can't be that smart. They had to get it from aliens in outer space. You know what I'm saying? These are the people we up against. But anyway, long story short, you are the only real American. I hope that brings you some pride. Continue to stay with me. Like this video, share this video, and let me know what you think. Feedback is king. All right, talk to you later.